Hi everyone, welcome back to School of Uranus. I'm doing this video about uh, the solar eclipse. Excuse me, the partial solar eclipse um, that's happening February 15th tomorrow, um, and what effect it's going to have on you and what it means. So, generally speaking, when like any astrological event happens, so like uh, any eclipses or any the full and new moons, I come on here and make a video so people can understand what they mean and take full advantage of it, or at the very least be aware of the energies that are going to play out. So to talk about this 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 partial solar eclipse, we're going to jump back to the super blue blood lunar eclipse. There we go. I got all of that. That happened a few weeks back in Cancer, even though people said it was in Leo. Um, and it's very important that we understand which signs things take place in, and because in Leo it would have been a very different. We would see very different energy if that all of that took place in Leo. There's a reason why an event that doesn't take place but 100 every 150 years took place in Cancer, the moon's ruling sign, because that was what we was doing during that cycle was releasing outdated perspectives on motherhood and releasing those patterns and really releasing control systems on women at large, releasing control systems on women from society and from patriarchy. And this solar eclipse, this partial solar eclipse that's coming tomorrow, I'm sorry, I don't even know what the fuck is wrong with me, honestly. But it's just like some random, like, I don't know, I guess this is the time of year, technically it is like winter time, so whatever. But it's the spring equinox, I think it is, I think it's called the spring equinox, didn't hit yet. But okay, I'm sorry, I had to pause the video real quick. Some people pulled up to my place. But anyway, yeah, so the lunar eclipse was about society losing their control over women, society losing their ability to control women's bodies, their minds, because the moon rules the mind and the body and that connection between the two, and it relates a lot to those energies, and so does Cancer. And women are kind of represented by that sign in the moon. And so when we had all of that energy released, women were freed from patriarchal control. And uh, there's a reason why this astrological event that happens every 150 years fell in Cancer. Um, and so this eclipse that's coming tomorrow is reinforcing that, because we have the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse is going to be in Capricorn, not in whatever sign. They say the sun is in Aquarius already, and you can feel the Aquarian energy coming in. But when the sun shifts into Aquarius, eccentricity and electricity and cataclysm and change is starts to become. You start feeling it in the air, and strange, particularly potentially strange things start to occur. Um, but in Capricorn, it's really about a time about hard work and trimming the excess fat off of anything that you don't need into your life. Things Saturnian, basically, or of a Saturn-like nature. So that partial eclipse that's coming tomorrow is um, really the patriarchy is taking a blow, basically. To sum it up, the patriarchy is taking a blow. There really it's a new beginning. Anytime you have a full moon or a lunar eclipse, you have a release. But when you have a solar eclipse, you're dealing with a new beginning. And because the sun doesn't go in cycles like the moon, Solar eclipses are generally more powerful than lunar eclipses because this is a release that doesn't happen all the time because the energy gets built up. And that's kind of actually how the male and female physique are set up, because women can release all the time and it really not negatively affect them. But if a man is constantly releasing sexually, he's going to be weak, and it's not something that he should do really all that often unless he's trying to create a child. He should not be releasing his semen even like in sexual intercourse. And you know, you can see that in the way that the sun operates. It just goes through the signs and it leads, and it has this little entourage of women or entourage or the planets that follow it. Um, and it only releases every so often. It only starts new beginnings or new life every so often. So, and that coincides with the moon, of course, because the male and female counterpart come together to make a new life or a new beginning or a new start. And so, with this solar eclipse being in Capricorn, Capricorn represents the structures and authorities of society and big businesses, the controls behind the scenes, the control systems that we are all up under, the domineering aspects of our own consciousness and of the on the planet that we live on. The people who are in control, and it usually, because Capricorn is a darker sign, usually it's not something that everybody's aware of. Everybody consciousness has in their consciousness. And so, with this solar eclipse happening in Capricorn, um, this is the patriarchy and the control systems losing power. Not only have women not been liberated, but now the patriarchy is taking a direct blow as well. So, eclipse energy plays out. Um, Websites say it plays out over the course of months, but really eclipse energy plays out over years, um, because you start to see shifts in social changes and things of that nature over years. It doesn't happen overnight. So you may have an eclipse today, but the real effects of it may not settle into 2 years later. And that's when you'll see like, oh, this movement popped up or that movement popped up. And people are trying to, draw an astrological chart on the date of those things occurred and say, oh, this is why, that's why. But you really have to look backwards in time to see how this energy, when this energy was birthed onto the planet and then eventually manifested. And it's just like magic in general, or even just even on a mundane level, what you do today, if you start like going to a job today, if you start at a job today, you're not going to get a paycheck till 3 weeks later, because you probably didn't come in at the end of the pay period when the new pay period was beginning. You probably came somewhere in between. So those days are going to be counted on. And then you have to go through a paperwork process, and then you have to go through orientation, all of the stuff that they put you through to work at a place. And so you're not on the set schedule yet. You're not. It's a whole lot of process going, so it's going to be delayed, especially in the beginning. You're not going to start off with your 2 week, your bi-weekly or your weekly paycheck like everybody else. It's gonna be delayed, and it's gonna take time for that new situation that you put your energy into to manifest. So you went and looked up the job, and you put in the application, and now you're here at the job and you're working. That's magic. That's energy. That's it's mundane, but it's magic, because you're creating something that did not exist before. You're creating this job that you didn't have before, and are now able to work and use it as a source of income. It's just really typical and really low magic at this point, because most people shouldn't really even be working a job. They should work for themselves, but or at least have some sort of side hustle. But getting back to this eclipse, it takes time for the energy to truly manifest and to truly come onto the planet, and for it to download into the consciousness grid of the planet, until people start deciding, oh, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. So what we're about to start seeing is a shift in women's power roles. So women are not going to be behind the scenes. Women are not going to decide. Women are not going to be in a position of powerlessness and victimhood or control any longer. And they're going to start coming into their own empowerment, coming into their own ways of creating resources for themselves, because women are very powerful and they have their own brand of magic. And so a lot of women are going to start going into business for themselves. A lot of women are going to start doing things that are typically seen as masculine, because masculine and feminine energies exist in both sexes. And now with the patriarchy losing control and women losing the restraints, they're going to be able to start accessing that masculine side of themselves and start creating more of like that Capricorn energy for themselves, because the control systems cannot restrict women from doing that anymore. So if you're women, these eclipses are something to celebrate. You should probably do some sort of rituals, engaging with the energy. As for men, when it comes to this solar eclipse, because you know the sun is more relating to us men, and the moon is relating to women. When it comes to the solar eclipse, um, honestly, I think men should just take advantage of the opportunity to incorporate the more feminine energy into their lifestyle. So whatever businesses that you're creating, you need to hire more women. If you have a business of your own, if you're trying to create a new business, this is a good time to do so. Um, Using magical practices or any Cancerian energy or things of that nature will definitely create a lot of positivity in your life, because when these eclipses happen, women aren't just the only ones who set free, men are, because men have feminine energy as well, and that gets caged down by the patriarchy too. And so when men get really shrunk into these really linear roles of what they can and cannot be. So when women are free, we are free. So it's something to celebrate for both sexes, and it's a time of great revolution and great change. So you're going to start seeing people who don't deserve the positions of power that they in kicked out, and that's a part of Saturn going through Sagittarius as well. But this solar eclipse is going to reinforce that. It's going to be a new beginning for patriarchy. It's going to be so a higher vibration can come in, and we can let go of the old ways of controlling people, of manipulation and fear, because that's how the Saturn energy has been used for a long time, and that's not all Saturn has to offer. Saturn has a lot of structure, a lot of protective energies to it. Saturn endures the test of time, and Saturn is a very empowering planet in your chart, and it can really guide you on a path of empowerment and learning lessons and wisdom and strength. But Saturn is the vibration that's being used on mostly is fear and control. And so, because of the solar eclipse, we're going to lose a lot of that. So, like I said, men, if you want to, one of the good ways to celebrate this solar eclipse is to, like I said, try to figure out what you can do to start your own business, embracing your own femininity, embracing the like right side of your brain and magic and things of that nature. Just coming into a revolution of being, of masculinity, of self, and just letting go of old ways and traditional ways of doing things. So it's just an exciting time right now, and it's something for everybody to celebrate. So depending on like where you at, you're gonna see the solar eclipse. I don't think where I'm at I'm gonna see it, but it doesn't really matter. The energy is the energy. I'm gonna feel it, so that doesn't is not really all that important if I see it or not. But I don't think there's really anything else to discuss about this eclipse. But let me know in the comment section if you guys want me to discuss anything or do any other videos. So thank you.